It is said that every couple faces two major challenges: the sweet versus savory tofu brain debate and traveling together. Sophia discovered her boyfriend was not a good match for her during their pre-honeymoon trip. He is a fact-checker in New York, but his real dream is to become an author. Whenever he suggests writing his own pieces, his boss immediately rejects the idea. With his career stagnating, their love life is equally lackluster. Sophia's boyfriend is a workaholic whose dream is to open his own restaurant in New York. To accommodate his work schedule, they decide to take an early honeymoon. The destination is Verona, Italy, the birthplace of the Romeo and Juliet story. However, her boyfriend's mind is clearly not on the honeymoon. On their first day, he hurriedly drags Sophia to a nearby wine estate to find the best ingredient suppliers for his restaurant. What should have been a sweet and loving honeymoon turns into a business trip. Sophia feels very uneasy about this. She patiently accompanies him to view venues for a day, but upon learning the next day holds the same schedule, she feels incredibly disappointed and suggests they split up. Her boyfriend agrees without hesitation. This separation becomes the turning point in their romance. The next day, after seeing her boyfriend off, Sophia wanders alone through the streets of Verona. Following the crowd, she enters Juliet's house and is quickly drawn to a special group of girls. Sitting or standing, they are all completely engrossed in writing letters. It is said that touching Juliet's statue guarantees a lifetime with your loved one, while those who are confused and hesitant in love can write a letter to Juliet. After a while, they receive a reply, and their pain and questions are answered. Sophia is very puzzled, wondering if Juliet really writes back. With this doubt in mind, she decides to find out and waits patiently. She waits until dusk, and her doubts are gradually resolved when a woman arrives. The woman gathers all the letters from the wall into a basket and turns to leave. Sophia quickly follows her as she weaves through the streets to a restaurant, meeting up with 3 other people. They skillfully sort the letters, genuinely preparing to write replies. Seeing Sophia's notebook, the woman assumes she is a writer. She tells Sophia that every day, women from all over the world come here to write letters to Juliet, and they divide the work to reply to every single one. Thus, they call themselves Juliet's secretaries. The woman's mother is the restaurant's head chef and cooks wonderfully. She warmly invites Sophia to stay for dinner. Rushing to meet her boyfriend, Sophia politely declines the kind offer. To her surprise, her boyfriend is not interested in her day's experiences at all, but is instead captivated by the noodles she brought back. He quickly hits it off with the head chef, completely forgetting his travel plans with Sophia. Sophia feels a bit let down but finds it hard to refuse. With nothing to do, she takes the woman's suggestion and becomes one of Juliet's secretaries. One day, while collecting letters as usual, Sophia accidentally discovers a loose brick falling from the stone wall. Hidden inside the hole is a letter from 50 years ago, written by a British girl named Claire. She was deeply in love with her Italian boyfriend Lorenzo. But due to her parents' disapproval, she broke her promise to elope with him and decided to return to London. Lorenzo, meanwhile, was still waiting for her under the tree where they first met. After reading the letter, Sophia decides to reply to this 50-year-old message. She spends an entire night thinking about her wording before earnestly mailing it out. A few days later, a man bursts into the restaurant claiming to be Claire's grandson. He pulls Sophia aside and loses his temper, accusing her late reply of disrupting their lives. Furious, Sophia quickly follows him, wondering if this man really traveled all the way from London just to lecture her. From their subsequent conversation, she learns the man is named Charlie. He came to Verona this time to accompany his grandmother Claire on a revisit to her old haunts. The Claire of today already has a head full of white hair. After 50 years, she is no longer the little girl who was lost in love. She possesses an intellectual elegance settled by time. Claire is very grateful to Sophia. Despite Charlie's complaints, they still return to the restaurant together. At the table where everyone is gathered, Claire begins to tell her story. When she was young, she studied abroad in the Tuscany region of Verona and fell in love at first sight with Lorenzo, who came from a technical family. They quickly fell in love and prepared to get married. However, Claire's parents disagreed with the marriage, and she eventually yielded to them. She broke her promise to elope with Lorenzo, returned to London, and married someone else, having children. Even after 50 years, Claire still couldn't forget Lorenzo's blue eyes. Therefore, upon receiving Juliet's reply, she couldn't wait to rush here. Claire wants to find Lorenzo and tell him in person that she feels guilty about her cowardice back then. Deeply moved, Sophia immediately comes up with a bold idea. Since her boyfriend won't be back for another 2 or 3 days, she suggests joining the grandmother and grandson in their search for Lorenzo. She wants to witness this romantic miracle and use it as material for her novel. Claire agrees to Sophia's proposal, but Charlie gets a headache over it. He was already worried about his grandmother coming to Italy alone and thought they could just go back when she fulfilled her wish. Now he has to accompany her to find her first love from 50 years ago, with Sophia adding to the chaos. Ignoring Charlie, the two women embark on their journey to find the man. They first visit the farm where Lorenzo lived in Claire's memory, but the old man who opens the door is not Lorenzo. They find out online that there are 74 Lorenzos in this region. Do they really have to knock on doors one by one? Charlie starts to back out again, but Sophia, utilizing her skills as a fact-checker, quickly narrows down the scope. If Lorenzo really hasn't left this land as Claire described, there aren't many people to confirm. Thus, they meet all kinds of Lorenzos. Some are playboys, some are cooks, some have Alzheimer's, some are farm owners, and some are not very welcoming. Misunderstandings and connections. Charlie complains the entire way, leaving Sophia with a very bad impression of him. To her surprise, however, the seemingly arrogant and rigid Charlie is actually a lawyer who helps the weak fight for their rights. The two chat for a while over drinks, realizing that even for Claire's sake, they cannot keep arguing like this. Sophia talks about her boyfriend's neglect, and Charlie mentions his relationship with his ex-girlfriend that ended in nothing. Furthermore, Charlie has read Sophia's novel and sincerely praises her talent. During their conversation, Sophia learns that Charlie's parents died in a car crash when he was 10 and he was raised by his grandmother. Gradually, the two clear up their misunderstandings. One day, they arrive at another Lorenzo's house. After ringing the bell for a long time without a response, a kind person drives by and says he knows Lorenzo's whereabouts. Under his guidance, the three arrive at a quiet building, which turns out to be a cemetery. It turns out this Lorenzo has just passed away. Facing the cold tombstone, Claire suddenly breaks down. This is the exact situation Charlie worried about the most. He had tried to stop the search along the way because he feared his grandmother would have to face the cruel reality of her loved one being gone. Having already lost her husband and son, she couldn't be made to endure such pain again. Sophia tries to explain that this might not be the Lorenzo they are looking for, and that they can keep searching, but Charlie thinks it is highly probable. In his view, Sophia just wants a story of a broken mirror made whole as a stepping stone for her writer's dream, uncaring about the feelings of the people involved. Charlie's subconscious retort accidentally pokes at Sophia's wound. It turns out Sophia's mother abandoned her when she was 9. She knows the pain of loss, especially being actively abandoned by her closest relative. At least Charlie had experienced his parents' love, while Sophia had never even possessed that warmth. That night, Claire visits Sophia's room. The fragile Sophia is still trying to apologize, but is gently comforted by Claire. Claire doesn't defend Charlie's reckless words, and expresses that every day of this trip has been very special. Claire picks up a wooden comb and brushes Sophia's long hair. This gentle affection from an older maternal figure makes Sophia unable to hold back her tears any longer. Realizing his mistake, Charlie takes the initiative to apologize to Sophia early the next morning. Knowing it was an unintentional mistake, Sophia calmly chooses to forgive him. Experiencing this conflict actually brings them closer together. At night, the two lie on the grass and chat. According to their previous schedule, Sophia's boyfriend is returning, and the journey to find Lorenzo should end. Under the quiet, starry sky, perhaps due to the sorrow of imminent parting or the gentle night breeze, as they talk and their eyes meet, they passionately kiss. They quickly separate the moment their reason returns. Early the next morning, the three decide to head back. The two have a tacit understanding to never mention their moment of passion from the previous night, because they both have their own lives. Parting today means they might never see each other again in this lifetime. But destiny between people is wondrous, often descending quietly when least expected. On the way back, they pass a vineyard, and Claire suggests they go for a farewell drink. As the car drives into the vineyard, Claire suddenly spots a soul-stirring figure among the vines. It is a young boy who looks exactly like Lorenzo. Upon asking, they find out the older man next to the boy is also named Lorenzo. Sophia quickly asks if their father shares this name too. Sophia and Charlie are overjoyed. Seeing the goal right in front of her, Claire suddenly shrinks back. The Lorenzo in her memory is still the young boy, and she doesn't know if he only remembers her young self too. Just as Claire is about to leave, the sound of horse hooves rings out, and Lorenzo returns on horseback. After 50 years, their faces are no longer youthful, but they recognize each other at a glance. They can't help but embrace. This embrace, spanning long years, instantly dissolves the regrets and sorrows of the past. No one expected that this seemingly hopeless search would actually usher in a perfect ending. At the table where everyone gathers, Lorenzo deeply confesses his love to Claire. Claire's wish is fulfilled. Sophia knows the purpose of this trip has been achieved, and it's time for her to leave. Charlie knows he has no grounds to ask her to stay, and can only urge Sophia to finish writing the story. The kiss last night already crossed the line. Sophia is already engaged. Looking at the frowning Charlie, Claire cannot help but sigh. Along the way, she witnessed the feelings growing between them. Now that she has found true love again after so many years, no one knows better than her the regret of missed opportunities. Charlie drives after Sophia to her hotel. His excitement all the way instantly cools down upon seeing the scene on the balcony. Sophia already has a boyfriend, and he is just a passing traveler on her journey. What Charlie doesn't know is that even before he appeared, the relationship between Sophia and her boyfriend had already fallen into crisis. This special journey of destiny is just the final straw that breaks the camel's back. Back in New York, Sophia shows the story she wrote about Claire and Lorenzo to her boss. This time, her boss finally acknowledges her writing talent and agrees to publish it. With her career finally making a breakthrough, Sophia is thrilled. She rushes to the restaurant her boyfriend is about to open to share the joy with him. But her boyfriend is busy with restaurant matters and hasn't even looked at the manuscript she specifically left in his room last night. Her boyfriend casually defends himself, saying that once the novel is published, he will see it sooner or later. Sophia's mood instantly plummets, adding to her disappointment in their relationship. The catalyst that makes Sophia resolve to break up with her boyfriend is the wedding invitation sent by Claire. The invitation also includes that letter from 50 years ago. Sophia can't help but recall the memories of that journey. Seeing a white-haired but incredibly loving old couple by the road, Sophia suddenly realizes that Charlie has unknowingly walked into her heart, and she is destined to follow her own fate. Since she has already realized her feelings, dragging things out would be hurtful to everyone. Sophia goes to her boyfriend's restaurant and officially proposes a breakup. Her boyfriend tries to make her stay, but Sophia says no one should be solely thinking about their work during a honeymoon trip. What's stranger is that neither of them minded splitting up. Perhaps they've just gotten used to ignoring each other. But the most crucial thing is that the love between them has disappeared. Her boyfriend is disheartened, and the two end the relationship with a hug. Claire's wedding is held in sunny Verona. Sophia attends the banquet on time and, as she wished, sees Charlie at the wedding. But just as she finishes greeting him, she hears Charlie introduce the girl beside him. It turns out Charlie got back together with his ex-girlfriend. Sophia feels like a bucket of cold water has been poured over her, and her heart full of joy instantly cools. She has no desire to talk with Charlie, and the wedding soon begins. Dressed in her gown, Claire slowly walks into the hall and exchanges vows with her lover. Sophia is genuinely happy for her but can't help feeling sad for herself. At the banquet after the wedding, Claire reads the letter Sophia wrote to her in front of everyone. Claire believes that without Sophia's reply, this love story would not have begun. Love can cross mountains and seas, and all mountains and seas can be leveled. But her gratitude makes Sophia even more sorrowful. Before her tears can fall, she hastily gets up and runs away. Charlie, who had been watching Sophia, rushes out after her. He finds Sophia on the balcony. At this moment, it's just like Romeo and Juliet back then. Sophia says she has realized her feelings and broken up with her boyfriend. Before Charlie can be happy for a moment, she tells him she is leaving. It turns out this is another huge misunderstanding. There are two Patricias. The Patricia at the wedding is Charlie's cousin, while Charlie's ex-girlfriend didn't even show up. Charlie once told Sophia that if he met his true love, he wouldn't just gaze foolishly from below the balcony like Romeo, but would climb up and take his beloved away. In fact, this is exactly what Charlie does. He takes off his jacket, climbs up the vines, and confesses to Sophia. Looking at Sophia's tearful, happy eyes, Charlie can't wait to prove his feelings with a kiss. But just as he is about to reach the balcony, the vine suddenly breaks. When Claire arrives with everyone else. Letters to Juliet is a film directed by Gary Winnick, released in 2010. It is also the director's final work. He passed away less than a year after the film's release. The story is actually not complicated, and some people even dislike it because the tropes and ending can be guessed at a glance. But it harbors a secret that other romance films cannot steal. The two actors playing the elderly lovers were actually a separated and reunited couple in real life. They fell in love on set in 1967, later had a child, but broke up in the 1970s and drifted apart for most of their lives, only finally marrying in 2006. So, that embrace on screen, recognizing each other at a glance after 50 years, didn't need acting at all, because that is their own vivid life. It is no wonder Claire's storyline feels more poignant than the young people's storyline. Thinking back, the reason that letter tucked in the wall crevice for 50 years received a response was because someone was willing to pick up a pen, address a stranger's regret, and earnestly write back. The small act of replying is in itself a kind of gentle courage. That wall full of letters is crowded with the same kind of people, those who hesitate and are afraid to move forward in love. And Juliet's secretaries are not performing any miracles. They are just earnestly telling you that your hesitation is understood. Ultimately, this film only grapples with one word: if. If she hadn't gotten on that train back to London. If she had dared to go to that elopement appointment. The word if and the phrase what could have been hold little weight on their own, but once put together, they are enough to haunt you for most of your life. But what is harder than if is what Claire took 50 years to figure out. What stands between two people is never mountains or seas, but those words of I love you that reach the lips only to be swallowed back down. Our generation is most familiar with the action of waiting. Waiting for better conditions, waiting until we feel more worthy, waiting for the other person to speak first, waiting until we are more suited for each other, mistaking making do for maturity. But will the better timing you are waiting for really come? How many people drag a relationship out until they are too exhausted to break up and unable to muster the energy to love? Just like Sophia and her boyfriend going on a honeymoon but doing their own things, neither caring about the other. Some call that a stable phase, but in reality, love has quietly slipped away, and neither is willing to admit it. Sophia almost entered a respectable marriage with a heart that had never truly been moved. It was Claire who woke her up. The step Claire didn't dare to take 50 years ago, someone clumsily climbed up a balcony 50 years later to take it again for her and himself. Juliet won't reply to your letters, and fate is only responsible for bringing that person to you. Whether or not you can take that step is always your own decision. There are too many lonely people in this world who are afraid to take the first step. Some things, if left unsaid today, might be missed for a lifetime. Alright, that's all for today's commentary. If you liked it, remember to follow, like, and comment. That's it, see you next time.